am CouldiBeColin, and I am making this video to bring attention to a very important issue. As you all know, Super Mario 64 will be turning 25 this year. Now, I know, this is a very important celebration. However, this also means that in 5 years, the game will be 30. So that means that this year is the game's 30th minus 5 years anniversary. The 30th minus 5 years anniversary of the game is a very important holiday, and is completely different from the 25th anniversary. It's just always seemed to come up at the same time that the 25th anniversary comes up, and nobody pays attention to the 30th minus 5 years. So, to celebrate this very often looked over occasion, I decided I will spend a day acting like how Mario would. That's a goal.
So we wheeled you in here with 2 broken feet, bad concussion, and mushroom poisoning.
Wow, you healed me from all that? You must be the best doctor in the world.
Oh no, you were totally dead on arrival. Usually when that happens, we just clear the bed and admit the new patient. But you were wearing a Mario hat, so I figured you must have been celebrating Super Mario 64's 30th minus 5 years anniversary.
Finally, someone who understands!
Yeah, so I decided to treat you for death. It's a delicate procedure that we don't normally do, but I figured, why not? He's celebrating Super Mario 64's 30th minus 5 years anniversary. There aren't enough people in the world like him. We can't let one of them die.
Well, I can tell you that I, for one, appreciate it. So, am I free to go, or do I have to sign my soul away or something like that?
Yeah, you can go. However, the recovery week for death usually takes a week, which means that you can't celebrate the way you were before. A person can only be treated for death twice in their life before the procedure becomes impossible.
So, I guess I have to recover or something like that for the next week. Super Mario 64's 30th minus 5 years anniversary is going to be over by then. How am I going to celebrate this game's birthday now? Well, I guess I could create a YouTube channel and make a video about the game.
Super Mario 64 was originally released on September 29, 1996 in the States as a launch game for the N64. This was the first Mario game that was in 3D and one of the first 3D games ever made. Of course, there were games like Donkey Kong Country or Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, which kind of gave off the illusion of 3D, but this game and the console it was released on was Nintendo's first attempt at totally, for realsies, definitely not fake, 3D.
This game is a revolutionary title, and it showed players that 3D gaming is so much more than just a gimmick, that it was a huge leap forward in the world of video games. However, the game itself, while it was an impressive game at the time, has some major flaws that make the game hard to enjoy nowadays.
I'll get back to that in a minute, but before I talk about the game now, I should talk about how the game got started. In the early 90s, Shigeru Miyamoto, the director and producer of Super Mario 64, came up with a 3-dimensional Mario design during development of Star Fox on the SNES. He wanted to use the Super FX chip to create an SNES game featuring 3D Mario, but eventually decided for the project to come out on the N64. Not because the N64 was, a much more powerful system that could do real 3D and not the fake stuff the SNES does, but because the N64 controller had more buttons for more interesting gameplay. Super Mario 64 was developed over about 3 years, with 1 year being spent on design and concepts and the other 2 being spent on production. The original idea for the game had way more levels, with a flagpole at the end of each one that signified the level's end. But eventually this was scrapped for the more open world game that we got because the developers thought it to be the most fun. And I for one wholeheartedly agree. The game was shown off for the first time at Nintendo Space World in November 1995, along with the Nintendo Ultra 64, and was then released less than a year later in 1996. Super Mario 64 starts off with an overview of the castle courtyard. Mario hops out of a pipe and heads toward the castle because Princess Peach has made a cake for him. As we reach the castle, we meet Lakitu, who is our cameraman. Since this was one of the first 3D games ever made, the developers must have felt the need to explain the camera, which is kind of an odd decision. I mean, you didn't need to explain the camera in arcade games or Super Mario Bros., so why do you feel the need to explain it here? I'll complain about the actual problems with the camera later, but right now we should go get that cake that Peach made for us. So when you enter the castle, Bowser says he has kidnapped Peach.
Who could have seen that coming?
You also learn that you need to collect the stars from each of the 15 worlds in order to get her back. That's it for the story in this game. It's incredibly simple, but for the first 3D Mario game, it's perfect. Like, sure, Mario Galaxy or Sunshine might have more interesting stories, but this is all you really need for a Mario game, and since 3D gaming was so new at the time, it makes sense why the story should be so simple. Also, it's a Mario game. If you wanted a deep story, you came to the wrong place, pal. You hop into these paintings that are hung up all over the castle in order to reach the worlds. Most of these, except for Hazy Maze Cave, are fantastic. It is so much fun to hop into a painting or an ink puddle or a wall for some reason to reach a new world with a new theme. Sometimes. Yeah, not all the worlds have the most original theme. Like, Cool Mountain is themed around a snowy mountain. What's Snowman's Land themed around? A giant snowman. Which is pretty lame, let's be honest. However, most of the worlds are really fun to traverse and find stars in. Except for Hazy Maze Cave, this is the worst original level in the game. But nothing is fun if the game isn't fun to control, so how does Super Mario 64 do in that field?
Not great.
Okay, it may be because I'm playing this on the Wii U Virtual Console without the original controller, but Mario's jumping feels very clunky. Some jumps that should be relatively easy to make become impossible just because you can't make it for some reason. It's really hard to pull off almost anything special like wall jumps, long jumps, even triple jumps are hard to pull off. You usually need to hit the button at the perfect moment. If you mess up, then too bad, buckaroo, you're down here, now suck it up! The controls of the game might not be perfect, but they are amplified tenfold by how awful the camera is.
Lakitu needs to be fired.
Camera is easily my biggest gripe about this game. It works fine enough when you're outside, but the camera gets really funky whenever you are in an enclosed space, and it makes some jumps nearly impossible. The game also doesn't allow you to move the camera however you want. I mean, yeah, this makes sense because the N64 controller only had one stick, but games like Ocarina of Time have the miracle that is Z-targeting, which makes the camera control like a dream and only occasionally bug out. In this game, I would constantly die and tell myself, well, if the camera was better, which is not a good thing. Sure, there are some minor movements you can make with the camera by pressing the C buttons, but I could not figure out which button did what, and usually just kinda sucked it up. While I'm talking about problems with the game, here's another one. Some of the stars are super annoying. Look, I love the star collecting system, but the fact that you need over half of them to complete the game is a little ridiculous. Especially when over 30 of the stars you can get in the game are either get 100 coins in a level or find the 8 red coins. Some of the red coin stars aren't that bad. Some of them are all in one spot and you need to jump around a mini obstacle course or something. These are the good red coin stars. However, the rest of them require you to find all 8 of them in the level. This becomes really painful when you've found 7 of the coins and you can't for the life of you find the 8th, and your mom is calling you for dinner and you keep telling her, let me finish this thing, and she yells back, your food is getting cold, and now you have to find the final coin fast because a cold quesadilla is just plain sad. But why would you even do those stars when you could just do different ones? The coin collecting stars are my only complaints with the star system, because most of the other stars are all a blast to jump into a world, try to figure out how to unlock the star based on the clue given to you at the start of the level, and when you finally get a star, oh man, it fills you with so much joy that you just want to jump back into that painting and get another one. The level design in these worlds is stellar and makes for some great fun to be had going through each world trying to find stars or coins or just plain messing around because you felt like it. I want to talk about the graphics and the music of this game. The music is so good. Every single song is amazingly iconic and captures that bouncy Mario feel perfectly. The graphics are not good, because it's an N64 launch game, what'd you expect? However, the graphics of this game feel like Super Mario 64. I wouldn't be against a remake of this game with the same engine used for Odyssey or something like that, but honestly, a lot of Super Mario 64's iconicity comes from the graphics. It's kind of hard to tell which game this render of Mario is from, and for the two of you who knew it was from New Super Mario Bros. 2, good job, I guess. But show anyone a frame from Super Mario 64 and they could probably tell instantly what game we're talking about. Miyamoto said that while designing this game, they originally had the idea of a more traditional 2D Mario course that played in 3D, and we can even see remnants of this idea in the special Bowser levels in the game. This level was scrapped in favor of the open world, with multiple stars per world because it was the most fun. And that was a great call. The Bowser levels are fine enough, but they are so boring compared to the open worlds, which are so much more compelling and fun to play in. As I said, it's a blast to jump in and find stars, grab coins, or even just do whatever you want to do. This game is designed with the idea of fun in mind, and that makes the game stand out amazingly.
So, what are my final thoughts on Super Mario 64?
This is a phenomenal game that did so many things right back in the 90s. The camera and the controls are a real pain, especially in the modern day. Plus, Nintendo is incredibly persistent at not wanting to re-release this game on the Switch, even making Super Mario 3D All-Stars a limited time release and preventing consumers from getting this game. If you own it or you have a cheap way of playing the game and you really want to play it, I say go for it. It is definitely not the best Mario game, and for sure not the best game ever made. I don't know why people still say that, but Super Mario 64 is still an amazing game that I would say is well worth your time, if you can get past the controls and camera.
Well, that was fun. You know, maybe I should do this more often. Find a gaming-related topic and make a video about it. Could be interesting. And it could help serve as a decoy. Also, well, let's see about you.